Okay everyone, welcome back to CBD Yoga and Fitness. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Mike. I post weekly yoga and workout videos, so be sure to like and subscribe to see more of those. In today's video, I am going to be talking about my yoga teacher training experience. So following up on my last yoga vlog where I talk about how and why I became a yoga teacher, in this video I'm going to be discussing everything that happened during my yoga teacher training, and I will also be including some cool footage that I took there in this video. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any comments or questions at the end, be sure to let me know down below. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy. Okay everyone, so basically after I kind of settled on the idea that I really wanted to be a yoga teacher and that's something that I wanted to fully pursue and commit myself to, I basically went home and I started doing a bunch of research on all these different yoga teacher training schools. And if you don't already know, there is a lot of yoga teacher training schools out there, so I was really trying to do my due diligence, and I think I did a two or 3 days worth of research, and I had it narrowed down to 2 schools, one of which was the School Yoga Institute, which is who I ultimately ended up choosing, and I have no regrets. They were simply amazing. I forgot who the other school was that I had it narrowed down to, but yeah, at the end of the day, I ultimately ended up choosing School Yoga Institute, or SYI for short. And one of the reasons I really chose them is because whenever I had a question, and I think there was like 5 or 6 different times where I had a new question, whether it was about the travel or like the training itself, the owner, I believe Carrie is her name, she got back to me by email like within minutes. Like whenever I had a question, she just instantly got back to me, and it was something so small like that that just really kind of stood out for me and made me feel very safe throughout the whole process. So yeah, shout out to Carrie if you're watching, thank you. But yeah, basically once I decided on SYI, I booked the yoga teacher training and I got my flights booked and everything shortly after. And then yeah, I was living in Kelowna, BC at the time, so I caught a flight from Kelowna to Vancouver to Toronto, and then from Toronto to Costa Rica. And my flight from Vancouver to Toronto was delayed, so basically once I landed in Toronto, I had to like run across the whole airport to catch my plane. They were like calling my name on the intercom, and I barely got on the plane, like it was crazy. And then once I got on, it was like just fully booked. It was just so crammed and it was really hot. But anyways, I was just so thankful to be on there. And then I flew to Costa Rica. That was about a 5-hour flight. So I got there in the evening time, and I got there, went through customs and got my luggage. So once I got my luggage, it was just like a huge weight lifted off me. Like I can relax, I can breathe now. And then I stayed the night at a hotel like just a mile away from the airports, and yeah, I got a good night's sleep. And then the next day I flew from San Jose, Costa Rica, which is the capital I believe, to Puerto Jimenez. So that was like a little domestic flight, and these planes were like so tiny. I think they only held like maybe 12 people. So on the little plane from San Jose to Puerto Jimenez, which is like 45 minutes to an hour, I think like 10 out of the 12 people on there were going to the same yoga teacher training. So that was really cool. Got to meet some of my students right there. And if you've never been in a plane that small before, it's a little scary because the turbulence can get pretty wild at times, but everyone got there safely, so that's all that mattered. And once we landed in Puerto Jimenez, which is just such a tiny little village, basically, the airport terminal, if you even want to call it that, it's just like a tiny little sitting area. But we waited there for a little bit and let the other students come in from wherever they are or wherever they were. And then basically we had one of the facilitators come meet us. Her name was Inka, she's amazing. And then we got a ride to the actual resort, which was, it was called Ojo del Mar. So it was about 40 minutes outside of Puerto Jimenez, 40-30 minutes, somewhere in there. And yeah, we got a ride to the resort, and once we got to the resort, we were all welcomed by like the staff there, and it was a very warm welcome. They were very nice. They took our luggage for us and just took care of everything. And some of the other students were already there, so we were basically just kind of getting to know one another like as we got there. And this resort, it was just, the resort itself was definitely like one of the biggest highlights of the trip, just because it was so unique. It was in the middle of the jungle, like rainforest jungle. The beach was like right on the resort as well. And basically like the accommodations, you were in like these little bamboo huts. So it was completely like wide open, right in the middle of the jungle. The beds had like mosquito nets around them, but other than that, it was just like all open. But they were really well made, and the bathrooms were just kind of like outside of the hut. And those two were like all outside, like the shower was outside. So when you showered in the morning, you were literally showering just in the middle of the jungle. But yeah, the privacy was there and everything, but it was just, yeah, a really cool experience. And then there was like the big kind of lobby sitting area where that's where you had all your meals. That's where you kind of just rested on downtime. They had Wi-Fi there too, which was pretty nice. Considering that you are so remote, that was a nice kind of feature to the whole thing. And then, yeah, the staff was also very nice as well. They mostly spoke Spanish, which I don't know a lot of Spanish, but they were all super caring, and they made our meals for us, and they were always cleaning the huts and the sheets and everything, I think on a daily basis, so that was really nice. Yeah, basically I'm just going to talk about some of the highlights of the trip. So the resort was definitely a huge highlight, the staff was another highlight, and then the training itself was just amazing. So the training, if you don't already know, is very intensive. So basically you wake up and you're at it until you go to bed, essentially. So basically what our routine looked like was you got up at like 5:30, and then you had a 30-minute meditation from 6 to 6:30, and then from 6:30 to 8, I believe it was, you did yoga. So you did 30 minutes meditation followed by 90 minutes of yoga every single morning. And then after the yoga, you went and had like the breakfast, which was mostly just kind of fruits and eggs and toast, and yeah, it was very simple, basic breakfast, but it was all very good. And then they had tea there as well. And then, yeah, you kind of had a little bit of downtime after breakfast. You could go shower and whatnot. And then after that, we hopped into the training aspect. So a lot of the training was we were studying yoga anatomy. We were learning how to, teach based off yoga anatomy. We were learning different yoga textbooks like the Yoga Sutras and whatnot, and then we were just kind of having group discussions after each lesson. So yeah, everyone was basically involved in all the trainings, which is really cool. And then you did partner up in a lot of like the actual like teaching of the yoga trainings. So yeah, it was all very, very cool. So basically like the entire yoga teacher training was like 4 weeks long. So for the first 2 weeks, we learned like a hatha-based yoga flow. Each yoga, or like a yoga sequence, so each yoga sequence that we learned was like 90 minutes long. So the first 2 weeks was the hatha, and then the second 2 weeks was a vinyasa sequence. And yeah, so each week was like a little bit different. So each week kind of had like its own intention, its whole kind of mantra, if you will. And then after the first week, after each week you had a day off. Because it is so intense, like you really kind of need that day off so you can just kind of relax, do whatever you want, go in the ocean and swim, or just hang out in a hammock. So, but each week was kind of like a different mantra, so you kind of grew into the next phase as the whole training went on, if that makes sense. But yeah, it was crazy. Like after 2 or 3 weeks of just, starting your day off with 30 minutes of meditation followed by 90 minutes of yoga, you could really just feel your body like strengthen. You just felt stronger. And I think that was kind of, a general sense, not only for myself, but all the other students as well. We could all feel like the strength we were gaining from the whole experience, but also like mentally as well from like 30-minute meditation. Like I think it was 3 weeks into the whole training that during one of the meditations I had like a memory that I've never remembered before. It was like wild. Like once it hit me, I was just like in awe. So basically the memory was when I was like really young, like probably 3 or 4 years old. I remember we would go over to my grandpa's house and I'd always like sit with my legs across like my head and just like all these yoga poses. And then like as I was meditating there, it really just hit me, like I totally forgot about that, but it kind of had this epiphany or self-realization that I loved yoga at like such a young age, and that I had completely forgotten about it for like, 15, 20 years, and then I finally kind of discovered it again. So that was kind of a cool epiphany, if you will. But some of the other highlights of the trip, like I said, we had a day off every week, and during that day off, one of the facilitators, she would go into Puerto Jimenez, the town, and get all the laundry done. There's like a dry cleaner or a laundry person there. So, and that's the other thing I forgot to mention, the facilitators, there was Inca and then there was Concetta, and they were both just amazing people. Couldn't ask for any better teachers to learn from, and I would go back to them again and again. I send them love if they're watching, but they were amazing. Another highlight of the trip was the food. The food was amazing. So the food was all vegetarian, and so you had the breakfast after yoga, and then around lunchtime you would have lunch, and then you would have dinner time after like the last kind of training section. And every meal was just like out of this world. I don't think there was one bad meal. Like everyone was just raving about the food. So that was definitely a highlight. And then another highlight was like the fellow students. There was 17 of us. I think there was just me and one other dude there, and then the rest were girls. So me and the dude, we had like our own little hut, and then there was like 5 or 6 huts, and some kind of slept 4 people or 3 people, so we were all kind of divided up. But I was with the guy, and then everyone else was doing their own thing. But after like a couple days in, we all just kind of became like this huge family, and we're all just so connected and like-minded. And that's probably one of the coolest things I took away from the whole trip, is just the fellow students, because like literally after the first night we just kind of felt like family, and by the end of the whole experience it was sad to see each other go, and we were all just so connected and bonded at that point. And like a lot of us, we still keep in touch today. We have like a WhatsApp group chat, and we all follow each other on social media and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's probably the coolest part, I would say, is just like the camaraderie you had with the fellow students. And then some of the other highlights were we went on a few nature hikes, and like we were literally in the middle of the jungle, like rainforest. So we went on a few nature hikes in the jungle, so that was really cool. One of which was actually at nighttime, so we had a guide bring us into the jungle in the middle of the night, like pitch black. We had flashlights and stuff, but he took us to like this creek, and then we turned all the lights off. So it was like just pitch black, and after a couple of minutes you could start to see like all the eyes from like the different animals and bugs and insects like light up the environment, if you will. So that was actually like a really cool experience. It was a little scary at the time. I think I was sweating a little bit, but all in all it was really cool. And then we went on another nature hike during the day. We went to like these waterfalls, which are really awesome, so we swam around in there. And then another cool thing was like all the animals there. So on the resorts, again, we're in the middle of the jungle, middle of the rainforest. There's monkeys just jumping all around, like different kinds of monkeys, and they're all making all these different kinds of noises. We had the howler monkeys that were like really loud, so they would howl like first thing in the morning and just throughout the whole day. And then there's like wild turkeys. I think we seen like one snake throughout the whole thing, but I think there was like koalas and stuff in there as well. Monkeys were definitely like kind of like the main animal there, but there's a bunch of like hummingbirds, and like they had these like huge blue butterflies, like the ones in the emoji, like just like huge. And those are really cool. They like flap their wings so slow, and they were like so majestic as they flew by. But yeah, the animals, that was definitely another highlight. About 3 weeks, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks into the training, there was like an earthquake in the middle of the night. So it was like in the early hours of the morning, like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I didn't feel it myself, because basically like when you're sleeping in the huts, again, it's just pitch black. And I woke up in the middle of the night and there's just thunder and lightning like all over. And I can't even see anything, so already like my vision is like disordered, like I don't know what's going on. But I think the earthquake probably woke me up. That's probably what woke me up, is what I'm thinking. But yeah, it wasn't like, you know, a big earthquake or anything, and everyone was fine and nothing was damaged or anything, but I guess they happen all the time there. And so yeah, that was kind of a neat little thing. And that was like really the only day, like the night the earthquake happened and the day following, that it actually like rained throughout the whole day. I believe like every other day it might have rained for like 15-20 minutes and then like passed, like it came and went like out of nowhere, just because it is like a rainforest. So it was really like mostly sunny for the majority of the time we were there. But yeah, and then another highlight was like all the ceremonies we did. So like I said, each week kind of had like a different intention or a different kind of mantra, if you will. But we had an opening ceremony like the very first night on the beach. And then we had a couple ceremonies throughout, and then we had the closing ceremony at the end, which is like when we all graduated and everything. And then we also had a couple of cacao ceremonies, so those were really fun. And then, yeah, that wraps up most of the experience. I have nothing but good things to say about School Yoga Institute, and like I said, the facilitators, Inka and Kinsetta, were just both amazing. I would go back to them again and again. So yeah, I would highly recommend going on a yoga teacher training if you're thinking about being a yoga teacher, to go somewhere that you've never been before, and just, you know, be in it, be in that experience, and just, you know, really step outside your comfort zone, because I think that's what makes it most memorable. And, you know, this training happened, you know, a couple of years ago already, but I still just remember it to this day, just because it was so new and so fresh and just really so outside my comfort zone to me. And a fun fact about me, my mom, she's a travel nurse, so growing up I got to live basically all over North America. I moved around like so frequently, to the point where, you know, when someone asks me where my hometown is, I don't even know what to say, just because I moved around so much. You know, I'll say the road, you know, the road's my home. But basically, like, I traveled all over North America, but I was never outside of North America. So going to Costa Rica was like my first experience going outside of North America, and also basically my first experience traveling by myself. So again, it was very new, it was very outside my comfort zone, but like I wouldn't trade it for the world, because that experience, again, it's just one of the most amazing experiences I've had, and I still just remember so many things from it and took so much away from it. Again, I would highly recommend going on a yoga teacher training, even if you don't want to be a yoga teacher, just because like the experience itself is so rewarding and just so memorable that I don't think you would regret it if you went. So yeah, if you're thinking about going on a yoga teacher training, again, I highly recommend School Yoga Institute. They have a few different locations, so I went to Costa Rica, but I think they have some in Peru, and I forget the other places, but yeah, they are amazing, they're awesome. And yeah, that basically kind of wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoy. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below. I'll be happy to answer them. And yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. Again, I post weekly yoga and workout videos with the odd yoga vlog. And if you would like to see more of these kind of yoga vlogs, again, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to make more. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you guys all have amazing days. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste.